Hello and good evening to everybody who's joining us live for the latest in our series of webinars about rhinos. My name's Jo Shaw. I'm CEO here at Save the Rhino International in London. And roughly every month, we get together a group of experts on a rhino topic to chat to you about what rhinos are up to, some of the latest rhino news and stats, and answer questions about rhinos that people are interested in. And this evening, we've got something a little bit different, a story that's generated interest all around the world after a video was released showing a rhino playing with a muntjac deer at a zoo in Poland. I'm very pleased to be joined this evening by representatives from that zoo, as well as another zoo and experts who've seen rhinos in the field in Zimbabwe to discuss what's going on in this video and what does it tell us about rhinos. Tonight, we have lots of people signed up from around the world to join us. It looks as though Uganda, United States, Portugal, Poland, Australia, Tanzania. Amazing that rhinos are inspiring so much interest. Let's kick off by looking at that video itself. I'm very honoured to be joined by Veronica Lisek, who's a spokesperson for Wroclaw Zoo. Veronica, here we go.
Hello.
Good evening. Thank you very much for joining us. Tell us about what we're seeing here.
So it's a charging rhino towards the muntjac deer. It's a Chinese muntjac named Dat. As it's Dat in Polish. It's Tata. So it's basically our male muntjac in our zoo from the pair. And Marushka is a 12 years old rhino that is actually playing with him, and she actually tries to uh, gently play with the muntjac. For him, it's actually something more ambitious. And this video actually went viral all over the world, and it traveled around the world. I feel like dozens of times. We've been everywhere, and I tried to count an effort that we made, and it's actually uncountable.
Huh.
I didn't manage to count how many people have seen it. It can be even hundreds of millions, because in Poland itself, it raised a couple of millions itself on the Facebook and Instagram. But that's not all, because there was also a traditional media. There were also media around the world, from BBC and CNN, through from Chile to New Zealand, uh,
Wow.
through India, through uh, even African countries. So many of them. We've been everywhere through agencies as well, and even men websites. So we've been on Reddit, on or 9gag, 4chan, and everywhere. So
Wow.
that's why it's spread it around the world in millions. We've also focused on trends, and this Google Trends also indicates that Camille, who is our carnivore keeper and the author of the video,
Mhm.
uh, got an interest among all the world, like we haven't seen like no time before.
Amazing. It's amazing how that footage has just really captured people's interest and sparked their imagination. Can you tell us a little bit about how how it was filmed? Is this something you see every day? Why was the video taken?
It's a very interesting story, actually, because it wouldn't be shown anywhere if it weren't for Chen, our clouded leopard.
Oh,
Actually, clouded leopards are not so often seen on outdoor exhibit, but this time he went outside for a stroll, and he noticed Marushka playing and charging and doing something different than normally, and that dragged the attention of Kamil Guzik, who is the carnivore keeper. So
wow.
keeper of Chen, and he was just going around seeing if the carnivores are okay. And he noticed Marushka and Munjak playing just because the leopard did it. So
Hmm.
um, it's interesting to see also interactions between those animals, because when something happens on our rhino exhibit, it drags attention of cats around, because we've got tigers from one side and snow leopards and clouded leopards from the other side, and more often they see even each other or hear each other, and
Mm.
they also spot things like when Marusha is outside. She's also seen by tigers, and they spot her.
Mm.
They follow her with their eyes, and even though they have a small hut, I'll say they have a roof that they climb on, so they've got the better view
Mm.
towards Marusha, and they like to do it as
Mm.
cats do, to hop on some high building, or a tree, or a rock, to see better.
Yeah.
And that's quite interesting, that if it weren't for China, we wouldn't have this video.
Ha. So it was the clever cats that
Yeah.
alerted the keeper to what was going on and sparked him capturing the video. It's a cool story. It's a very cool story. Um, and it certainly sparked a lot of questions on our social media, people wanting to understand what's going on. Is this even real? Some people thought maybe it was just AI. Some people thought they were really fighting and it was quite aggressive. Some people thought they were just playing. Of course, we know that young animals in particular play a lot. We know play is a way that animals learn to master movement, how they develop their strength and practice getting strong and running and jumping, and also how they kind of figure out their social structures and get to understand boundaries with other animals and communicate with their peers. So there's lots of reasons why play happens, particularly in young animals, but I think there's also this perception that rhinos are big, rough, tough, even quite antisocial animals. I think the idea of rhinos being a species that plays really took people by surprise. So I'm really excited this evening to dig into this question with the experts we have joining us. We're lucky to have Maciej Okupnik. I've
Hmm.
spent that completely, it's pronounced that completely wrong, Maciej. You might have to correct me,
No,
but I
it's
think
okay. It's Matthew Kupnik. It's very well.
I
So
tried. I did try. Maciej, you're the rhinoceros keeper at Zoo Wrocław.
yeah, exactly.
We also very honored to have with us Lisa Watkins, who's head of ungulates at West Midlands Safari Park here in the UK.
Yeah. Hi.
Lisa, thank you for joining us. And then Natasha Anderson is dialing in from Zimbabwe, where she works for the Low Fault Rhino Trust. Hi, Natasha.
Evening all.
So we'll run through a bit of a chat with each of you in turn, talking about your experiences and questions that people have submitted in advance. But those of you watching live, if you have any thoughts or questions or queries that arise as we're chatting, do drop those into the chat. And when we get towards the end of the event this evening, we can put those to the speakers for you. So, Maciej, over to you. Could you tell us a little bit more about your Rhino program and Marushka?
So hello again. Our rhino, now we have only one rhino, Marusia, and we are waiting for the bull, for the new bull for her, because before she had we start with two bulls. Maybe I start like that. We start with two bulls in our zoo. It was Tarun and Manas. And when they arrived to our zoo, they have been young. They had 3 and 4 years. So before when they start to be mature, And we keep them together, so they play a lot.
Mm,
But yeah, they play a lot, they fighting, but this fight it was like just like playing,
right.
nothing like fight. But when they started to be mature, so we start to see the town was bigger, so had a bigger chance to win. When we start to see this, so we start separate them, but they wanted to be together. But for them it was better to separate them, and we sent one of our bull to Spain Zoo,
Mm,
and we had manas, and after this we get Marusha.
mm,
So after maybe few months, we put together Marusha and Manas,
okay.
and we after this when we keep them together. So after one day, it was a copulation, and we get a baby after 1.5 years. So yeah, it was only one time we put them together, and it was successful.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So it was good message for us, because the manas didn't he afraid a lot of Marusha, and the Marusha running around manas which escape.
Oh.
Yeah, he didn't know what to do. Yeah, and after maybe half hour, it was successful, um, and we get birth at 1.5 year, and it was Kiran. So we keep together Kiran, of course, with mother. And when Kiran finished 3 years, we sent Kiran to France Zoo.
Mhm,
And our coordinator decided to send Manas to the Spain also, like Tarun, yeah. So now we have only Marusha, and we're waiting for new bull from Hungary Zoo. Probably in
mm.
this year we get him. Yeah.
Fantastic. And
So
so,
it.
sorry, Magic.
No, no, it's okay.
When you
Uh,
had the two young males together, you think they were really play fighting and chasing each other around, interacting a lot.
yeah, they love to two bulls. They love to play together, but you know. When the testosterone is on the high
Mhm.
level, it's better to separate them, in my opinion, because it's hard to find the right day to separate them. So when you see the first symptoms, the testosterone is high. So
Mm,
for us, it was better to separate them, and it was more safe. But they wanted to be together, so.
mm.
Yeah, so it was not easy for us and for them. But when they go to the other zoo, it was more easy.
Nice. Yeah, and important to think about the safety, obviously, and the playing doesn't step beyond playing and over into the boundary of fighting too much.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
and how old is Marisha now, Magic?
Now Marusha, on the second on February, she finished 12 years. So 3 days ago, he had a birthday.
Ah,
The,
very nice.
yes, so now she have 12 years, and she's waiting for the second bull, and we hope we get the second calf from her. Yeah,
Okay.
so for this time is I think it was better when he had clothes because Manas was all the time separated from her because it was more safe for her.
Hmm.
But she wanted to be with someone, and the muntjac was
Mm.
very good. How to say? I can't find a word.
Friend, playmate,
Yeah,
friend.
exactly. Playmate. Thank you a lot. So Munchak was a really good playmate for them, and also we have on our outside enclosure gibbon. But in
Mm.
Poland, the problem is the weather because gibbon can't be outside now in during this time because the winter is very cold. But
Ah.
for the muntjacs, it's not a problem. Muntjacs love also when is below zero. They can be outside and they are like to be outside. I don't know how it's good for them, but they like it. Yeah. But for the rhinos, of course, we during the winter time we put Marusia outside only for the few hours. Then we put her inside, and we make like that a few times during the day. So
Mhm.
it's like 1 hour outside, 1 hour inside, 1 hour outside. And we doing like that. Yeah.
So she gets the fresh air, but she doesn't get too cold.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And
And she like winter also. So
okay.
yeah, she likes snow and like you can see on the video. So she's on the snow.
He's playing in the snow too.
Yeah.
And so, do you see her playing with the gibbon? Does she play with other species apart from the muntjac?
Yeah, she play with gibbons also a lot. You can find some video how they play. I'm not sure you have. Yeah, you have this. So so you can see here how they. But like you seen, we have one video, but we observe a lot of that kind of playing. So it's not like one time, but we see them all the time. Yeah, for us it's normal, so we are not recording this because it's normal. Yeah.
And so, what species of gibbons are these, Macho? Where are they from?
It's
Uh,
pollinated.
it will be not easy for me to.
It's
I know the
pollinated.
Polish name, pilated gibbon. Yeah,
Aha.
pilated gibbon. We have so we have one pair, and now we have a baby of gibbons. Yeah, so but the mother is because this one which you see on the video it's male. The female don't want to play with Marusia. Only male of our gibbon want to play with Marusia. I don't know why it's like
Ah,
that. But yeah.
okay. And it almost looks like the gibbon is teasing Marisha. It's like, come and play with me, come this way, follow me. Do you think that's how you do you think that's how they're connecting with each other?
Yeah, it's like I'm sure it's like that because we can observe when Marusia see gibbons, she is just coming slowly and she starts playing. It's not like she see gibbon and start charging. It's
Mm,
not like that. Sometimes it's happen like that also, but mainly is she's just coming slowly to him and starts playing. So,
mm.
in my opinion, it's sure it's playing.
It's playful, yeah. So she's not kind of charging at him, is it? She doesn't look
No,
angry
no,
or
no, no.
agitated.
It's
So
nothing like. Marusia, I never seen Marusia charging s- only when she had Kiran, her baby.
Mm,
So she protect baby, but then maybe it was you could observe this, but
mm,
when Kiran is not around, so I never seen any aggressive charging or something like that.
mm.
Our bulls, it was different story because when the testosterone level it was high, sometimes it's happened. But with our Marussia, no, it's
Mm.
nothing like that. Of course, if Kiran was around, so it was different story. But also, when our muntjacs had a baby, so she all the time charging and protecting her baby. So
Yeah,
yeah,
would change the dynamic.
yeah, exactly.
Thank you, Maciej. Really nice to learn a bit more about Marisha and some of the dynamics that are going on there, and that she's playing with the gibbons and not just the muntjacs. Lisa, maybe we could jump over to you here in West Midlands Safari Park. You've also been really lucky to spend time up close and getting personal with rhinos. Can you maybe tell us a bit about yourself, how long you've worked with rhinos and the species that you have in your collection there?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, so I've worked with rhinos I'm coming up to my 20th year. So I've been
Wow.
very privileged to work with them for a very long time. We have two species that I'm responsible for at the moment at West Mids, which are the white rhino and the greater one horn as well. So we're very lucky that we can see the differences between the species as well. We've
Ah,
very successful breeding program with our rhinos. So we've had 11 successful births. We currently have 9 white rhino and 4 greater horn rhino as well.
and sorry. Good.
Okay.
And so, are they breeding successfully? Are you also having babies?
Yes, we are. We've got a 1-year-old at the moment for both species, and we are looking to continue the breeding of those in the future, hopefully. So the video that you can see now, we've got those 2 young males at the moment. They're about a year old on this video, but they're 4 years old now, but still like to and play as they are at the moment on the video. So it's really nice to see that they've been able to grow up together, learn from each other, and learn from obviously the adults as well.
So these are southern white rhinos, unless I'm getting very confused.
That's correct. Yeah.
Yeah. And you're saying this is 2 little boys, the young males wrestling and playing again.
Yes. You can also see in the video that they're in a mixed exhibit with other animals. So as much as they play with each other, they will when they're more so when they're younger, they will interact with the other species in the exhibit as well, which is quite nice. The other animals are usually a bit standoffish and scared, but they enjoy and just want to play really.
And so, what other species do you have in the exhibit with the white rhinos? Who are they playing with? How does that pan out?
So in that exhibit, there's giraffe, eland, waterbuck, Congo buffalo, grevy zebra. They have historically been mixed with various other species as well, like ostrich, lechwe, and other species of zebra as well. But yeah, they have lots of fun. As I say, we have had it that they do like to chase an ostrich on occasion. Fun for the keepers, but is probably good for the guests to see. But yeah, no, we're really lucky to have a large area and where they can have that interaction if they want to, but they do tend to stick to themselves. And as I would say, the youngsters definitely love to have a play, and the adults not so much, but they will have a play after a wallow. So if they've all had a wallow, it's like everybody's having the best time.
And are there any other particular species that you've seen the white rhinos playing with more, or? other than chasing those poor ostriches?
They do. Perhaps the Congo buffalo are quite inquisitive as a species anyway, so they sort of, you know, come and see what's going on as well. So probably those more so out of all of them. But over the course of, you know, the first year or so, they'll interact with everybody really. It's really lovely to see them. We're really lucky.
It is. It's lovely to be able to see them displaying the natural behaviour and as you would expect them to see in the wild, I suppose. You also have greater one-horn rhinos, I believe. Is that right?
We do, yes. We've got 4 of those at the moment. A 1-year-old calf, 2 females and a male. Yeah.
And so that's the same species as Mauritius.
That's correct. Yeah, so we do see the same behaviour that you can see on the video at times with play. They do also, some of them, not all of them, will go out on the reserve with other animals. So they do also have the opportunity to mix with other species as well. Generally in that reserve, the other animals just move away. They're not interested in the rhinos. The rhinos, however, are very interested in people. So they do like to know what we're up to. You know, they like to stick their head in the vehicle to say hello on occasion. So the whites are quite different. Like they tend to just want to be where the grass is and get on with their day. Whereas the greater one-horned will say hello.
Oh, so the greater one-horned are much more interactive with humans and people. They want to connect with you. The white rhinos are just less interested.
I mean, in my experience, yes, I think that I always say that the Asian rhino, greater one-horned, are quite needy. So they like to know what you're doing, you know, wherever you are, they're there having a nosy. Whereas the whites will just come to you for food and scratches. But once they're out and about, they tend to prefer to just go off and do their own thing.
Fantastic. Well, thank you, Lisa. Really nice to hear about your experiences with the different rhinos in your collection and how the different species seem to differ. Interesting, I guess we're seeing some patterns here, aren't we? It's the young animals playing more often, especially the young males wrestling a bit. White rhinos maybe being a bit less engaged and the greater one-horns kind of needy. I like that, being a bit needy about people and looking for something to connect with. Maybe that reminds us of Mauritius in the gibbon, that same kind of curiosity. Natasha, I think we know you work with 2 species of rhinos, black rhinos and white rhinos, and you're based on Bubi Valley Conservancy in Zimbabwe. Maybe you could talk to us about the behaviours that you observe as part of your work.
Sure. So, well, in our context, it's a bit more of a challenge because they're actually free-ranging rhinos. You're not getting the chance to observe is less because you're not around them as much. And there's also the factor that both species of rhino are actually much more active at night, and so you're not able to actually see what's going on most of the time when they are interacting most. But we do our primary tool of monitoring here is actually spore tracking. So the rhino monitors will actually go out and follow the footprints, and when they're following those footprints, they will see the signs of the rhinos interacting with other rhinos. It's you know, and it won't just be, you know, it's not a fight. A fight, well, sometimes there are fights, but a fight will be very obvious in the sport because it's a very aggressive, energetic clash of animals. And so you see the dirt kicked up a lot more and you'll see vegetation damage. And the fighting is not actually that common in these free-ranging situations. But you will see spore of other rhinos coming together and interacting a bit and then separating. Generally, it's kept to the species. You know, black rhinos will, because you can tell the difference by their spore, and other black rhinos will come together with other black rhinos, and white rhinos will come together with others. And so we see a lot of signs that they're interacting, but we don't get to see it as much as you can tell that it's actually going on simply because of you know, the time of day that it's happening. And also in a bush environment, we're bush veld here, and particularly with black rhinos, they like to be in the thicker bush. So you may get to, you can tell that there's other rhinos over there, but you can't really see and get really easy observations. But it certainly does happen in the wild, and in both species and sometimes between species. We've had just with
Natasha, sorry, you're just making me think. I suppose that's one of the benefits of the intensive monitoring that you do, that your monitors are out, they're following the footprints. They're not just eventually seeing the rhinos themselves, but there's so much that can be learned from piecing together where the rhinos have been and what the footprints show they've been up to in terms of their behavior and things that are going on socially.
Yeah, no, you can tell the tracking of the actual footprints is incredibly valuable because it's showing you so much about their behavior and how they're interacting with their environment and each other, that you're just not going to actually see that happening. But all the signs of it are there if you're actually, observant. And so it is great. They do sometimes get lucky enough to actually see it. I mean, because rhinos are active, they in the hot weather, they're very inactive during the very middle of the day. Sometimes, and normally once they've caught up with the animal, it's sleeping, which is a very nice way to get to observe a rhino in the wild. A sleeping one is wonderful. But sometimes they'll catch up with them while they're actually still moving and interacting. And they, in terms of play, they saw a young black rhino he was newly independent, so he's just over 2 years old. And they are quite lonely at that age because they've just separated from their mother, and they're not used to actually being in the environment by themselves. And this particular rhino was picking up, he had a bone and he was picking it up and throwing it and then going and picking it up. It was like he was playing fetch with himself. And he would throw it again and then pick it up again. And I think, sort of just trying to entertain himself in his loneliness. And we've seen other ones in about that age bracket, when they're from 2 to 4. So they're independent, they've left their mother, but they're not actually reaching sexual maturity yet. And we've seen them doing that with sticks as well, just chucking it about, which, is just occupying and playing with yourself almost sort of thing. And we have seen interactions amongst other black rhinos that are not related. So I mean, obviously you get your mother and your calf together, and it's not unusual here to also have the sub-adult. So that is normally the calf that was, just that the previous calf to the small dependent calf,
right? The big brother or sister.
Yeah, and it's very common to see those two playing. Just a bit of that pushing and shoving, and it's certainly not fighting. But obviously, once particularly the males, when they do reach maturity, that is part of the developing of those sparring skills for fighting. But the females do it as well, and they're just playing with each other a little bit like a dog will actually. Well, I guess butt their heads together as much, but it's not it's not an impact. When they come together. So I can't put my hands where you can see it, but they do put their heads together and push and jostle around. And that is seen quite frequently. We don't see it, we haven't seen it so much with the whites, but we don't have a lot of whites. So I would dare say, given what you do see, there's in the video from Midlands is, those youngsters are very playful with each other. And we certainly have seen them like in mud wallows here, and it's all like a big collective mud bath where they're upside down and having a fantastic time. And they've got, both species have a very playful, fun nature in that regard. We also
Natasha, sorry, Lisa, were you saying you see your rhinos wrestling in the mud wallows too?
Yeah, if they've been in the wallow, we're on high alert because the excitement levels increase. They bomb around like mad and rub off each other, and we've got various rocks and logs and things that they can rub on, and they just go mental for a moment. They really, as I say, they interact with each other at that time as well. The adults tend to be a bit more playful around that sort of time as well, I'd say, whereas as the general day-to-day, that the babies are more playful.
Interesting, thank you. And Natasha, of course, you you don't get to see the animals live so much. You do the tracking, but you also have camera traps.
Yeah, so we use a system to help with the monitoring. We've got a system of camera traps dotted all over the place, generally on paths and mud wallows. This one is on water point. So this is actually a series of still photos that has been stitched together to show a whole sequence of behaviour. And you can see this calf here. She is being quite playful. If she wanted to hurt the warthogs, she most definitely could not. I mean, you can see the warthogs getting out of the way there. But she is just having quite a frisky play around. And we do see that. But interesting at water holes. I mean, I'm not saying that they don't get the zoomies when they're just out in the bush, but she's doing her laps there and having quite a good time. And
these are black rhinos. How old would you say that calf is? Well, you probably
that
know.
calf, I think she's probably about 4 months there. So that is quite young. The mother there. I mean, although I would expect any mother to just stand there and ignore the warthogs, the adults are not so bothered by smaller things. And generally, interacting with other game, the wild game just wants to get out of the way. They're not really going to hang around for being bumped into by, because even at 4 months old, that's still a massive muscle, and it's going to barrel that warthog. We've also seen through the camera traps interactions between white rhinos and white rhinos, particularly between the youngsters. If you'll get a sub-adult black rhino that's by itself come in, it still wants, it's used to being in company, and they're often still quite lonely at that age. And so they're sort of, they come up and they're like asking for interaction, and the calf, will come to that of the other species. And while the mother's drinking very quietly, they'll have a good old run around and jostle with each other. And it is very, very much just playfulness. And we've seen it the other way around too, with black rhinos with a calf drinking and white rhino sub-adults coming in, and then the sub-adult playing with the small calf. And it's all just, there's this great curiosity about each other, and very playful. I've never recorded injuries happening out of those interactions, and we haven't seen sign of that. So there's a gentleness to it. I mean, a sub-adult is quite a substantial size animal and could hurt a small calf, but they don't. It's quite restrained in their power when you consider the difference between them.
Again, it sounds like it's that kind of curiosity. There's a big level of curiosity and kind of playfulness.
And I think that wanting to interact, that interaction is a bit of a testing of what's my place, what's your place in that. And he's speaking to your white rhino, your Indian your males that were together. They will be quite playful with each other. And it's just that problem when the testosterone kicks in and that whole dynamic shifts about what are we actually playing here for, and it moves it into a very different category. So we don't see playing between adults, between another adult and an adult, but we do see playing between adults and sub-adults. Even when they're not related, it's not unusual with the blacks and the whites, but particularly we've got more blacks, so I'm more experienced with the blacks. Blacks can join up with another sub-adult because they do like the company, and if they come across an adult, it's normally actually even a male, and quite often these interactions are with an adult male because a female will have a small calf with her, and so she's generally a bit more protective and not necessarily wanting strangers. She'll have her own sub-adult or a known neighbouring sub-adult back with her, but she's less likely to let a group of animals she doesn't really know come up.
Right.
But the guys have not infrequently seen sub-adults just gently playing with a bull, and I mean there's those black bulls. It's a very powerful animal, and they do fight very aggressively, and they exhibit amazing gentleness when they're actually just play fighting, and pushing with these young sub-adults. And so there's a lot of restraint in those interactions when you've got such powerful animals. Really.
Natasha, sorry. I was just thinking that you've also spent time quite close up with rhinos, particularly those who've been orphaned, who are being held in bomas. So just thinking about some of Lisa's comments about how the greater one-horns react, and I'm sure Macho's experienced the same thing. Do the rhinos play with you then, or how does?
So with most of the orphans, yeah. So we have unfortunately ended up with I think we've had about 14 black orphans through the bomas here. I don't manage those bomas. They're run by a fabulous couple that are just really disciplined about how they're managing them, because the objective with those animals is to get them back out into the wild, and so you don't want to be habituating them.
Right.
So we're not in the pens with them as they're bigger, but certainly when they're very, very small, you do have to do a certain amount of physical interaction with them, because they're needing to be bottle fed, and you can't feed them over a structure. They do need to get in there with them.
Yeah.
And yes, that they're playful like a dog, that sort of jump around. And I've had it with I tend to care for the bigger animals. Sorry, let me just have a sip of water. I had a situation some years back where I had an adult cow in the bomas. She'd been shot, and she actually gave birth in the bomas, which is a very challenging, situation. It's already a stressful situation. She'd been shot. She was bad. She was actually blind, and gave birth in the pens. But I would pen off the mother with bars, but there were big gaps in between. And so when I was cleaning the pen next door to her, he would come screaming into the pen and sort of go, ha! And then he'd go screaming back out of the pen and run back to his mother, and sort of like cheeky little, did you see what I did? And then we'd come running back in again. And it was a really very playful bouncing and cheekiness to him as he ducked back through. And I mean, that was at like a week old. Was already showing that sort of playfulness, because I mean, if it wasn't, he could just stay in the pen with his mother. He was really quite enjoying that interaction. And certainly with the ones the orphans that we've had through the pen, it's very interesting. They all do have quite different personalities. And we'll just see which photo. So this was a young guy. He was incredibly lonely, so he was an orphan by himself. And we had these tires in the pen. They were put in there for just controlling the lucerne, so it didn't spread around. But he took this tire on almost as his friend, and he would roll it around the pen and play with it. And if he was going to wallow, he would take the tire with him to wallow. And then if he went to feed, he would take the tire with him to feed. It did get to the point when there's some photos where he's just so mournfully lying on his tire, just for that companionship. His mother had been poached, and then fortunately we managed to. It does eventually put it down. And then he normally would lie on it then and sort of like just snuggle up to it. He would always sleep with his tire. And we thought he's just so lonely. And at that time they had an eland calf that had been they were hand raising, that the mother had been killed. And they thought, why don't we try them together? Because he's obviously wanting company. And so we put the eland into the enclosure with him, and it'll be probably the next photo. They bonded very quickly, and they did a lot of play fighting, and they were very, very tightly bonded. And then it happened that we actually sadly got another orphan, and she was in a pen by herself initially, and she was distraught by herself. And we had to actually very quickly move her in with him. But when we have orphans by themselves, they've gotten into keeping goats, and they actually keep goats permanently. There's two goats, this one and another, and the goats are very, very good company for the rhinos, and they form a good little herd, and they go out into the paddock together, and they'll even, the goats like to jump on top of the rhinos, will actually sit on top of them. And they become a really tightly bonded group. It's quite helpful too, because the goats are quite intelligent, so they know the plan. You know, if you've let the rhinos out into the paddock, the goats know the time to come back for feeding, and to come into the pens at night. And so the goats help organize what the program should be. And we've actually found, like, these particular goats, I think have probably done close to, I don't know, maybe eight orphans through the pen. And they actually fall into a depression when we've released because once the calves have grown up enough and they don't need the bottle anymore, we release them. And the goats are utterly miserable for weeks and weeks.
Oh,
they say.
they've lost their friend.
No. And they've been delighted when another one comes in. So, there's there is a lot of interaction, and it's very interesting to see. Particularly I think with the animals like a black rhino that are considered an antisocial animal. When you look at it in more detail, there is a lot of social dynamics, and interaction and a want for that, and it's not aggressive. I mean, I'm not saying rhinos don't fight, but particularly with your younger ones, there is a lot of playfulness.
That's really interesting. Thank you. Lovely to hear. People watching at home, any questions for our speakers? Does this spark any questions with you? Any queries to dig into what's happening in the different zoos, or with these different species, or what we're seeing out in the field in Zimbabwe? There were a couple of questions that had been sent in advance that maybe I'll put to you all now. I think some of these we might have answered already, but perhaps, Macho, first of all to you. Agnieszka from Poland asked, is the rhino in a disruptive situation with an opponent in the video? I guess she's saying, is this aggressive? Is the rhino fighting?
In my opinion, it's not. So from Marussia, it's nothing like aggression. But muntjac, of course, he protected the area. So the muntjacs, you can say it was like aggression, but he just protected because. I know from which point this started. Close to our rhino house, we have the bamboo trees, and the muntjacs like to hiding there. Our male muntjacs, when he saw Marussia, he started to protect this area, and Marussia thought she wanted just to play, because he didn't start to charging. It was like playing, because we have observed that kind of behavior when our bulls play, and also when she play with the gibbons. It's the same. It's nothing like aggression. So it's aggression is looks different than this what Marussia you can observe on the movie. Yeah.
So maybe the muntjac is being a bit territorial. He's trying to protect.
Muntjacs are very territorial. So,
Right.
but it's only on the on the during the time when our female is on heat. So it was it was this time. So our female was on heat, and he protected this area and her probably. Yeah, and after 2 days, it was nothing like that. I make a photo and send to our to Veronica also to
Mm.
to show then everything is okay and they eat together. So
Oh,
yeah. So we have also a video how they eat together after 2 days of this playing. Yeah.
oh, okay, fantastic. But Veronica, maybe you could be very kind and share that with us, or share with us a link of where you have the video, so we could put that out for people to see too. That proves they are friends at the end of the day, after all.
Yeah, at the end of the day, they are really good friends. And also, if I'm on screen now, so we've got merch also with our Muntjac and Marusha. So
Ah,
Great.
we're doing t-shirts and bags, linen bags. I don't know how about shipping, but for sure in Poland soon it will be a new merch. And now we try to also um, gain some awareness
mm,
and to teach something. Like educational point is very important for us, so we're glad that it also happened.
absolutely. I think it's amazing how much interest and information this has drummed up about rhinos for people. It's been fantastic. Josh from the United States has asked whether rhinos' playfulness is contagious to other species. He says especially in the wild, but is playfulness contagious to other species? Have any of you observed where a rhino is playing around, other species come and join them and play too?
I haven't personally. I think when the rhinos play, in my experience, everything else gets out of the way.
No. Certainly in the wild, nobody else wants to join that game. Although I have, sorry, in the reverse, I saw something. I just remembered one I got. It was a young, like a 3 or 4 year old female black rhino, and she'd had a long wallow. And this herd of buffalo were waiting for her to get out of the water point so that they could go and drink.
Mm.
And unbeknownst to her, what came in, she'd been in amongst the buffalo before, and some elephants were coming in, and the buffalo herd started moving off in response to the elephant. And she thought this was play, and she went rushing into the buffalo herd to be part of because they're all about, at that age, they're all about the same size. And she thought that this was great fun to get to be along on the buffalo charge. But then the elephant bellowed, and she realized that she didn't want any part of this game whatsoever and left completely.
Turned around and ran off again, but even bigger than she was.
Yeah.
Next up, Katie in the UK asked whether an inability to play might have an impact on an infant rhino's development. Sounds as though you shared some thoughts on that, Natasha, but I wonder whether Lisa or Mache.
I would imagine that it's, in my opinion, more beneficial for them to have another baby or whatever to learn from, to play with, to interact with, and whatnot. I can't be sure, obviously.
Mm.
I would say that it would be better for them to be together, in my opinion. Don't know what anyone else thinks.
It sounds as though your young rhinos enjoyed playing with each other, Mache.
Can you repeat the question because I had some connection problem?
So Katie was asking whether you think that an inability to play might have an impact on an infant rhino's development.
The opportunity to play.
Oh, so opportunity of play.
If they're not able to play, do you think it means they don't learn lessons that they need to? Do you think it's an important part of their development to be able to play?
Yeah, I think it's very important. In my opinion, it's like what I can observe. It's both of our species, the muntjacs and the rhino, really like to be together and spend the time together. So they don't need a time if you take a right species and put them together, so it's not a problem. The problem is if you put together the wrong species together. Yeah.
Yes, then it could be a problem.
Yeah, and then yeah, problem.
Natasha, there is a specific question targeted to you here, and we're 5 minutes to the hour. So maybe I'll ask you this, and then you can see whether you have any more to add. You have chatted to us quite a lot about your young runners already. Erica is curious to hear from you whether you find one species of rhino more active at night compared to the other.
I wouldn't. I think they're both very active at night. They're both feeding extensively through the night. I wouldn't say that one was less or more. I wouldn't say that I have got data to prove that. So it is, but you know, they both, most of their activity is through the night.
And you see that in both species, right? They kind of wake up up in the evening, have a drink, start walking around and interacting. There's no notable difference in the way that black rhinos and white rhinos behave over that kind of daily cycle.
I mean, they've both got to get a lot of food through that system, and so you've got to spend those hours moving around and getting that food through.
And did you have anything to add about Katie's question on the importance or not?
I think it's important to note that the calves also play with their mothers. So even if they don't have another calf to play with, which is not always possible, they're remarkably playful with their mothers, and particularly in mudwatters. I mean, they love to be all over on top of their mother, and so they do a lot of play just through that process.
Yeah, we observed the same when we had the Kiran. It was the same. So our calf also play all the time with Marusha. Marusha sometimes wanted to sleeping, and she couldn't sleep because the calf wanted to play. So
sorry.
No, it was just a recent sighting. There was actually 5 black rhinos together, and it was a mother and 4 relatives of hers, and she was just standing there like asleep on her feet, while the others were all just barreling around and having a great old time catching up. And she was about to have her next calf. I expect she had a calf last month. She was not participating in the game.
I mean, all of this actually sounds pretty familiar to human society, right? The young boys wrestling, people being less playful as they get a bit older, but learning a lot of lessons from each other in their adolescence. And it's been incredible how this video has got such pickup, and I think it's shown educated, informed people all around the world that rhinos are so much more playful and fun and social than perhaps people tend to think they are. So really delighted, Veronica and Maciej, that you were able to share this fun, happy side of rhinos with so many people all around the world. Thank you very much to both of you, to Lisa and to Natasha, for joining us this evening and sharing your wisdom and expertise. It's been a really, really interesting chat.
Thanks.
We're planning more conversations and information about zoos and their role in conservation in coming months. So perhaps we'll be chatting to you again before too long. Audience at home, please do stay tuned in for that. And we'll have a series of events coming up through the year. Please get in touch if you have suggestions for any other topics. For now, thank you very much once again to the speakers. Thank you to everybody at home who's joined us. Thank you to the fantastic team here at Save the Rhino in London for all their hard work behind the scenes putting this together. It's been a really interesting evening, and I've certainly learned a lot. Thank you all for joining us, and hope to see you again soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It was a pleasure.
Thanks very much.